missing!
Steady your hearts. Look deep into your souls.
Huge battles, real history, and brutal action. These are the movies that deliver on big scale. Today we're counting down 15 epic historical action films you may have missed. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more.
Who am I?
Number 15, Pathfinder. A Norse boy is left behind when his Viking raiding party abandons their attack on a North American coastal settlement. The native people find him, raise him as one of their own, and 15 years later, he is a man who belongs to neither world. Too Viking to be fully accepted, too connected to his adopted people to be indifferent when another raiding party arrives. The director shoots Pathfinder as a relentless, kinetic action film, which is desaturated, dark, and operatically violent.
Europe was engulfed in war, plague.
Must unite Europe. Kane.
It will be close. I need to find her. I will do whatever it takes.
He cannot be allowed to get Catherine. And that is a good death!
Number 14, Medieval. Jan Žižka is a Czech mercenary in 1390 Europe, operating in the brutal space between competing kingdoms during the political crisis following Holy Roman Emperor Charles IV's death. When he's contracted to kidnap a young noblewoman to prevent a politically inconvenient marriage, the operation drags him into a conflict between the corrupt Lord Boresh and the ruthless Lord Rosenberg that has consequences across the kingdom. Director Peter Jakel spent years developing this biography of the real Jan Žižka, who became one of the most celebrated military leaders in Czech history, and assembled a remarkable international cast around the relatively unknown character.
One day, somebody's gonna have to make a stand.
Be reminded of the order of things.
One day, somebody's gotta say enough.
If I do this, man.
Number 13, Clash of the Titans. Perseus is the demigod son of Zeus, raised by fishermen in ancient Greece, who finds himself at the center of a war between the gods and humanity when the city of Argos declares defiance against Olympus. Rather than pray for salvation, Perseus chooses to fight, assembling a small band of soldiers for a quest that will take them through the Medusa's lair, across the Stygian witch's territory, and toward a confrontation with the Kraken, a creature of apocalyptic scale. The film is a big, unsubtle, visually committed action spectacle that moves fast and delivers consistently on creature and combat set pieces.
Come on. Every step you took, every pain you suffered.
Burning back to hell. I am not yet ready for hell.
Number 12, Solomon Kane. Solomon Kane is a 16th century English mercenary and pirate, ruthless, feared, and thoroughly damned. When a supernatural encounter convinces him his soul is forfeit, he renounces violence and retreats to a Puritan monastery. It doesn't hold. England has descended into chaos under the rule of a sorcerer, and the family that showed Kane kindness when he had none has been destroyed. His return to violence is not for glory or coin, but penance. The director builds a genuinely atmospheric dark fantasy rooted in Puritan England and the border between Christian theology and something considerably older.
This. Ready? On my command!
Are you ready?
Your tribe butchered my father's men like dogs. No fuck! What's happening? Get on your knees!
In my slips, do as I did for you.
They're coming.
Number 11. The Eagle. A Roman centurion named Marcus Aquila is stationed in Roman Britain, haunted by the disgrace of his father's 9th Legion. 4,000 soldiers who marched into Caledonia 20 years ago and were never seen again. The eagle standard they carried, the symbol of Rome's honor, was lost with them. Marcus intends to go north of Hadrian's Wall to find it. He has one companion, a Briton slave named Esca, whose loyalties are considerably more complicated than his legal status suggests.
A king, a husband.
Avenge him.
I will attack the Greeks with my entire navy.
For glory's sake!
Steady your hearts. Look deep into your souls. And let it be shown, we chose to die on our feet rather than...
Number 10. 300 Rise of an Empire. While Leonidas and his 300 Spartans hold the Hot Gates, the Greek naval commander Themistocles is fighting a parallel war on the Aegean Sea against the Persian fleet commanded by Artemisia, a Greek-born woman who has become the most formidable admiral in the Persian Navy and the film's most compelling presence. The director expands the world of Zack Snyder's 300 into a naval theater with sequences of extraordinary choreographic ambition, staging ship-to-ship combat with the same heightened visual style as the original.
People so brave, so selfless that they cannot...
We're going to slaughter your people.
Mark my face. My power shall be with you wherever you go. On this day, if this be our destiny.
Number 9. King Arthur. This is not the King Arthur of round tables and courtly romance. This is a late 5th century Roman Briton Arthur, a half-Roman, half-British cavalry commander named Artorius, leading a depleted unit of Sarmatian warriors who have served Rome for 15 years and have been promised their freedom. One last mission, then the Saxons arrive from the north, and the mission becomes something much larger and more personal than anyone planned. Director Antoine Fuqua strips the Arthurian legend down to its Roman Britain historical hypothesis, delivering a physically brutal, cold, and credible epic that treats its characters as people rather than archetypes.
It is a sanctuary from the pestilence.
I must. There is talk of sacrifice, of men eating men, and of raising the dead.
Journey into hell, but God travels with us.
Crucify them all!
I slice you open!
Be on your guard. Nothing here is what it seems.
Number 8. Black Death. England, 1348. The plague is spreading. A young novice monk named Osmond, torn between his faith and a forbidden love, volunteers to guide a group of mercenaries hired by a bishop to investigate a village that allegedly has remained untouched by the pestilence. A village that reportedly harbors a necromancer who has renounced God. The mercenaries are not heroes. The village is not simply evil. The church is not simply righteous. And Osmond, who enters the story as an innocent, is changed by what he finds in ways the film tracks with extraordinary patience.
She was the king's wife, and he was banished forever.
13 men have been chosen to destroy this evil
Part. He never dreamed possible.
Prepare yourself.
Author of Jurassic Park and John McTiernan.
I am not a warrior.
I cannot lift this. Grow stronger.
Number 7. The 13th Warrior. Ahmad ibn Fadlan is an Arab ambassador exiled from Baghdad who finds himself traveling north with a band of Norse warriors answering a distress call from a distant Viking settlement. He speaks no Norse. He was not meant to be there. He becomes the 13th and required member of the party anyway. What they find at the settlement is something ancient and cannibalistic, something that attacks at night and leaves no survivors willing to describe it. The film is a propulsive, atmospheric adventure that uses Ibn Fadlan's outsider perspective to explore Viking culture from the outside while building genuine dread around a pre-medieval threat. Number 6. Shadow. The Kingdom of Pei lost the strategic city of Jing to a rival power years ago. The king, young and unpredictable, refuses to pursue war. His commander, ailing and hiding his condition, has a different plan. And a secret weapon. A look-alike. A shadow trained since childhood to impersonate him completely, who can move through the court and the battlefield in his place. The combat choreography, particularly the use of an umbrella weapon engineered to function at close range in rain, is unlike anything previously filmed. It is one of the most visually extraordinary films of the decade.
이 싸움은 불가합니다.
적의 배가 남아있사옵니다. 물러설 곳도 없다. 전군 출정하라.
Number 5. Roaring Currents. Korea, 1597. The Japanese invasion has devastated the Joseon Navy. Admiral Yi Sun-sin, recently reinstated after being falsely accused and imprisoned, has 13 warships. Japan has over 300. The Myeongryang Strait, a narrow channel with treacherous currents that reverse unpredictably, is Korea's only viable ground. The director devotes the film's entire second half to the battle itself, and the naval combat sequences are extraordinary in their scale and tactical specificity.
We have to stick together.
You have a plan?
Save a life. You must take responsibility for it.
Nothing is impossible. What we all have done is impossible. We may be hunted like animals, but we will not become animals.
Number 4. Defiance. It is 1941 in Nazi-occupied Belarusia. 3 brothers from the Bielski family escape into the Naliboki forest after the Germans murder their family. They are not the only Jews hiding in those woods. They gather others. Then more. By the end of the war, the Bielski partisans had sheltered over 1,200 Jewish civilians in a forest community they built, defended, and kept alive through some of the worst years of the 20th century. Edward Zwick's film is based on the true and largely untold story of the Bielski partisans, and it functions simultaneously as a survival film, a resistance story, and a character study of the specific tension between the 2 brothers who disagreed about what survival required.
I have 7 children. I do not wish to leave them fatherless.
I forbid you to go. My child! You're my child!
I thought you were a man of principle. When you have a family of your own, perhaps you'll understand the rules of war.
Would you like a lesson, sir, in the rules of war?
Or perhaps your children will.
Ghost, bring him to me.
How many men does Cornwallis have under his command?
12,000 redcoats.
Number 3. The Patriot. Benjamin Martin is a South Carolina farmer and father of 7 children who has no desire to fight another war. He survived the French and Indian War. He knows what war costs. When the American Revolution brings the conflict to his doorstep, and a British officer commits an act that removes any possibility of neutrality, Martin leads a militia unit in the South Carolina backcountry, a guerrilla campaign in the swamps and forests that operates by different rules than the conventional battles fought elsewhere.
Now, the destiny of an empire. Will depend on the fight.
Number 2. Red Cliff, China, 208 AD. The warlord Cao Cao has unified the north and commands an army of over 1 million soldiers. He has moved south. The kingdoms of Liu Bei and Sun Quan, enemies until the scale of the threat made alliance the only option, must hold him at the narrow river crossing of Red Cliff, with a combined force a fraction of his size. John Woo's return to Chinese cinema after his Hollywood years is a massive, classical epic based on the Battle of Red Cliff, one of the most famous military engagements in Chinese history, and a foundational event of the Three Kingdoms period.
With basic repairs, we can get home as we are.
We're not going home.
Comes the hunted.
Well then, there's not a moment to lose.
2 feet 6 inches, sir.
The men would follow.
Courage, lads! For home! And for the prize!
See you afterwards.
Let's fly!
Number 1. Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World. Captain Jack Aubrey commands HMS. Surprised somewhere in the South Atlantic, 1805. He has been ordered to intercept a French privateer called the Acheron, faster, larger, and better armed than his own ship. The mission will take him from the Atlantic to the Pacific by way of Cape Horn, one of the most brutal passages in maritime history. What director Peter Weir creates is not an action film with a nautical setting, but a total immersion in life aboard a Napoleonic-era British warship. The hierarchy, the medicine, the weather, the music, the daily reality of wooden ships and ironmen, a world away from everything they know,